Hello. Welcome back to the channel, and this is a channel where we give you reviews, don't do unboxings, might do a few playthroughs in the near future, but we generally like to talk a load of bollocks about tabletop gaming in general. And in this video, we're going to be talking about a worker placement game. We're going to be talking about the Ancient World, and in this game, you'll be placing your workers out on the board. You'll be taking actions to build up your forces that will allow you to do over some titans that have been ravaging the world, and they will give you victory points that will hopefully allow you to win the game. So in this video, we're going to be giving you a very brief overview of the rules, be telling you what we do like, what we don't like. Then we'll come back and we'll tell you whether or not the Ancient World first edition, this isn't the second edition, is still worth your time and bother. Was it like 11 years after it was first released in 2014? So remember, if you are new here, then please consider subscribing to this channel with a like button and all that YouTube bullshit. We'll see you after this. Bollocks. So, the Ancient World. How do you play this game? So the Ancient World is a very, very simple worker placement game. Each player is going to be given a player board, and you're going to have a couple of empire cards to start with. You're going to have fishing docks, and you're going to have wheat fields, and these will produce one food. If you look on your player boards, you'll also see that you produce one food by default at the end of each round, yeah? Because in this game, you're going to have to feed your workers like all the other generic worker placement games that are out there. You'll also be given a couple of starting armies. You'll see there's two different types of weaponry in this game. There are arrows and there are swords. Different titans that you will have to fight to get your bulk of victory points require different methods of attack here. So if you've only got melee attack and the titan requires you to have ranged attack, you're fucked, in you. This game lasts over 6 rounds, and each round consists of 3 phases. You've got the preparation phase, you've got the action phase, and then you've got the end of round phase. In the preparation phase, you are going to be refreshing any of the empire cards that have been bought by players. You will be doing the same with the military cards, and you're going to advance the round track, aren't you? So the meat and potatoes of the game takes place in the action phase. This is where you're going to be taking actions. If you look at your workers, you'll see that they've got different skill levels. Yeah, you start with skill levels 1, 2 and 3, and you'll also be able to get higher skilled workers around about halfway through the game, right? When you place your worker out onto the board, you will have to place a worker with a skill level that's higher than a worker that's already there. So if at the beginning of the game there's already a level 3 worker there, you ain't going to be able to place your fucking worker there because some fucker's already gone there, right? There are exceptions to this, but we'll get into that when we go through the actions, right? Instead of taking an action, you can decide to attack a titan. Like we said earlier, each titan requires a certain number of swords or arrows or a mixture of both. If you've got armies that are equal to or higher than that, then you will defeat the titan, but you're going to have to pay each army 1 more coin than is already on the card, right? So at the beginning of the game, you're just going to dump coin on each army you want to use. At the end of each round, you'll have to move those coins down, and you'll have to pay 2, then 4, then 7 and so on, yeah? So these armies get more and more expensive as the game progresses. There is an option to retire armies if they get more expensive. You can flip them over, they'll give you some kind of bonus, whether it be temporary or permanent, and you'll be able to buy a new military card to replace that army, right? So yeah, once you have defeated a titan, you'll take the card. It might give you a benefit, but more importantly, it's going to give you the favour of the villagers that were being terrorised by the titan, right? This is where you're going to get the bulk of your victory points, because on your player board there's like a little chart that tells you how many points you get for each colour of favour card from the titans, or even empire cards for that matter, right? So it's like a set collection type of game, yeah? So a selection of some of the actions that you can take are, you can do the labour action, just going to get 2 coins for doing fuck all. It's like Ancient World universal credit, right? You can build. This is where you'll be able to build those empire cards. You can place a citizen on here which has a lower skill value, but you'll have to pay a coin to do so, right? You'll choose an empire card, you'll pay the cost, and then you'll stick it in one of your slots on your player board, right? You'll have to bear in mind that there is a limit displayed on your player board as to how many empire cards you can have in your district, but there are cards that allow you to increase that limit, yeah? So just be very careful, because you start with 2, right? You're only going to be able to buy 2 empire cards before you're going to have to start increasing capacity of your empire. So you can learn, you can pay 3 coins to gain a knowledge. Knowledge might be required to buy certain cards or buy certain military cards, yeah? You can recruit, it's the same thing as you're going to be doing on the empire side of things. You'll be able to recruit a military military card and like maybe retire one of your existing military units if you need to. So yeah, once all of the players have passed, then you'll move on to the next round. You might unlock a new action, for instance, and when you get to a certain round, you will take away all the A Empire cards and you replace them with more powerful B cards, right? Once you get to the end of a round, you'll get a bit of income. You'll have to feed your workers. If you can't feed your workers, then they're going to starve. That means that they're going to be out of action for the next round. And then if somebody took the first player action on the board, then they'll get to be the first player next round, right? But why the fuck wouldn't they? So you'll keep doing this for 6 rounds, and basically, aside from some sort of tie-breaking bullshit, the player who has amassed the most victory points through collecting different coloured sets of favours will be the winner of the Ancient World. So what do we like about the Ancient World? So the first thing that we really like about the Ancient World is that the skill level mechanism on your citizens, on your workers, means that blocking is an integral part of this game. Yeah, it's one of the main strategies of this game. Do you place a worker down to effectively block everybody from that space, and in doing so, that you might get blocked from other spaces because all you got left, you 1 and you 2, right? Or do you allow them to go to that space, hold him back so that you can place your strongest workers in another slot, right? This is a little bit different to traditional worker placement games like Agricola, because if you went to a spot in that game, then that's it, nobody else can go there, right? But this always gives you a chance, and it's layered with a strategic decision as well, right, which makes it even more rewarding when you manage to pull off your aim. Yeah, so yeah, the fact that it's not just a bog standard worker placement mechanism means that you're going to have to think about not only where you're going to be placing your worker, but also which one you're going to be placing there. Yeah, so the second thing that we like about this, and this is something that is sort of generic now with Ryan Lockett games, yeah, and that is the artwork in this is absolutely fucking stunning, yeah, and I think we're used to it by now. In a way, every time he makes a new game, yeah, you're thinking, well, it looks absolutely gorgeous, you know, can we be stunned even more than we already are? And considering this game is from 2014, must have looked dog's fucking bollocks way back then. Yeah, there was a second edition released around about 2019. I haven't played that one, but I think it looks largely the same apart from maybe some larger player mats and all that. But yeah, the artwork in this is absolutely fantastic. Yeah, the Titans do look a little bit foreboding, yeah, and it's just gorgeous to look at, and it gives you a sort of sense of that cult PS2 game Shadow of the Colossus, yeah, which I played to death way back when you could play copy games on a PS2 with a Neo 4 chip or whatever it was, yeah. So yeah, looks fucking awesome. So the final thing that we like about the Ancient World is that the game is staggered in both how it reveals itself and how powerful things become as you progress through it. Not only are certain actions not available until later on in the game, but the fact that you're going to be swapping out deck A for deck B halfway through means that you're going to be saving up a little bit of money for deck B to buy the more powerful cards, or do you just spunk your load up the wall and just amass a huge variety of weaker cards, yeah? So it's pretty good the way that this forces you to concentrate on the lower tier Titans, and as you get more powerful, you're going to be able to focus on the super duper shit hot Titans that are going to give you the most victory points, yeah? Don't we like? But the Ancient World. So the first thing we don't like about the Ancient World, and this is a little bit of a contradiction in terms of what we said in some of the plus points, and that is the two-dimensional workers were a bit of a letdown, you know what I mean? If the two-dimensional tokens add a little standee, I suppose you could theoretically put them on there yourself if you really wanted to. If you had some sort of 3D miniature for your worker, it would make the game look even better than it already does, yeah. But if they're going to make a third edition, put some 3D shit in there just to make it that little bit better. A bit like they've done in some of his other games, yeah. So the second thing that we don't like about the Ancient World, and this has reportedly been rectified in the second edition. We haven't played the second edition, as I already said, because generally we don't buy games that we already own. But yeah, the Titans aren't really that much of a threat until you decide to go and kick their ass, yeah? When you do kick their ass, you have to roll a number of dice dependent on what tier they are. So a level 3 Titan, you'll roll 3 dice, and you might have to destroy some units or pay some coins or whatever, yeah? But until you do that, they're just lingering in the background, doing fuck all, yeah? Apparently in the second edition, there's a phase added where they do actually attack you, but that's not in this version. So they just hang back in the background, doing literally nothing until somebody goes along and then tries to kick their ass. But you're always going to defeat them, aren't you? You're not going to go and do the Titan over if you haven't got the army to do it. There's not really that much of a threat, and it's only once you kick their ass that there's any kind of comeuppance for being so bold. So the final thing that we don't really like about the Ancient World is that the victory point Empire cards tend to unbalance the game depending on when they come out, yeah? We've played this game on a number of occasions, and somebody has either pulled out these cards early, which means that's all they're going to be concentrating on, because they're going to be giving you extra victory points for each of a certain colour that you're going to be collecting. Or they just pull one out late and it ends up that they've already collected loads of those cards, so they end up winning the game without actually having to enact any strategy or anything like that. Yeah, so it does seem a little bit random. Maybe if you were given like a secret objective at the beginning of the game or something like that, that might have made the game a little bit fairer. But the fact that these cards come out randomly to random people means that the game can end up being a little bit swingy and unbalanced on certain occasions, right? So to summarise, is the Ancient World still worth your time and bother today and in the future? So we're going to say, yes, the Ancient World is a decent game with an intriguing theme, yeah? The skill-based placement adds a simple layer of depth, as does the way the game reveals itself through each round. However, the Titans don't seem to be scary enough unless you choose to attack them, which you will be forced to do before the end of the game. I like this game quite a bit, but it does feel like it's a little bit of a work in progress, and I'm assuming that's why they decided to make a second edition, which isn't really a second edition, because from what I can gather, they just added a few little bits that made this game not as good as it should have been, yeah? So, I don't know, you either pick this up for peanuts or you pay the extra money for the second edition. It's up to you which one you decide to do if you are going to pick this up. But yeah, it's a decent game and it's well worth playing. If you're looking for something sort of similar, then maybe Stone Age might be a good punt. It is kind of similar to Stone Age. It does have that Stone Age vibe with a little bit more complexity. So yeah, there you go. That is the Ancient World First Edition. Remember, if you are new here, then please consider subscribing to this channel with the like button and all that YouTube bullshit. See you next time.